Hello, YouTube. I hope everyone's doing good on this fabulous Saturday. I'm happy that it's getting warmer. My flight landed and I came back Thursday night and it was cold. I had my jacket or whatever, but it was like it's fur on the inside, but I was cold waiting for that Uber. I had to cancel a ride and then I had to order another one. And my son, because he don't listen, he don't have sense, he had a hoodie. I'm like, I know your ass is cold because I'm cold and I have a coat, like I had a short coat on. And I'm like, that's the worst thing about vacation too. Like you come from nice weather to come back to cold. It's just so freaking annoying. But that's life. That happened a few times. Like when I went to Miami in March, come back to cold weather. Um, Puerto Rico in July. It was hot here too. And then Myrtle Beach. Like, yeah, a lot of my a lot of my vacations come back to cold. Like that's just so annoying. But the good part is this good weather coming on Monday. So thank God, like finally it'll be in the 70s, like I'm tired of this dang cold. But anyway, I was watching YouTube all day. I love YouTube, as you could tell, not just because I have a channel, but I love me some YouTube. It's always good stuff to watch. And a lot of people was talking about first dates, and there's a woman by the name of Island Girl, and she's Jamaican, and it's different things like people caught cheating, first date disasters, and I just wanted to ask of where people head is at. And then it's another podcast. It's a girl and a guy, and they was talking about this girl that she does these extravagant trips, and everybody's in the comments is like, "Well, what the hell does she do for a living?" My guess is she's scamming or doing something illegal, cause ain't no way that you got money like that to go on all of these extravagant trips, unless if you have children and you're just using your tax money for that. But she doesn't have any kids, so I don't know. But real quick, I wanted to ask y'all, what would y'all do in a situation and who's right and who's wrong? Oftentimes, when I'm listening to a story, most of the time, the person telling the story sounds like they in the right. But for me, a lot of the times when I think about what they're saying, I feel like they're wrong. So I'm usually what you call unpopular opinion, and I am a critical thinker. Like I don't just be on a person's side because they're the one telling the story. I try to dissect the information and really think on it and really put myself in that situation and be like, hold up, this person might be wrong. But I wanted to talk about first I wanted to talk about some first date etiquette, and I think I'm gonna title that first date etiquette and also friendship etiquette, because a lot of people just like don't give a fuck, and they just are mean, evil people. And I've learned that in my lifetime. Like everybody is not you. If you're a nice, caring, open person, I've realized very few people in the world are like me. Very few people are generous. Very few people are honest. Very few people. We just live in a world of fucked up people. Like that's just what it is. But starting with the first date rules, it's funny because they called it horror stories. It's not really horror stories. It's just some people with bad etiquette. So with the first story that I found interesting was, um, I felt like the people might have been wrong in saying what they were saying on the first date, but I will take honesty over anything. So there was a one particular date, a guy, he was out with a girl and she was letting him know that she wants a guy to provide for her. She wants a guy to do this, and a third. And she, I don't think was working, but she was just letting him know like, hey, I want a man who provides. She was asking him how much did he make and stuff like that. And it's a little weird because I'm independent, but at the same time we all know somebody who's not, so it's not far-fetched. I feel like she's just cutting to the chase, and she's at least letting you know who she is in the beginning. Now, obviously, in a world that we live in, it's kind of impossible to just one person working and provide for the whole household. The way you could do that and accomplish that is if you live like in NYCHA or Section 8 or something like that. And even then, if it's another adult in the household, they're going to have to work. There's no way, like with me, I'm a single parent. There's no way that I could have the lifestyle I have with multiple kids or to have to take care of another adult. Like if I had to take care of another adult, I don't think I would be able to travel and do all of this and that, whatever, because it's expensive. Like to have to take care of somebody who is not contributing, or in some cases, you can't claim the person because they won't let you claim them. You know, like you have situations where the wife doesn't get along with the husband, so to spite him, which is stupid because she's not getting any money back either. But um she could be making minimum wage, for instance. So obviously, if he claims her, you know, as a dependent, he's going to get back money. But if she doesn't get along with him, let's say they don't get along, she'll purposefully file separate, even though she's not getting any money back. Just she'll do that to spite him so he doesn't get any money back. So if that happens, it's like that makes it harder for that person to function financially, because for many of us, for me, that's just tax money is spending money. But for many people, that's bill money, that's grocery money, that's money for the kids' uniform. Like that's kind of money to kind of breathe a little bit. So if you have another adult that's just not cooperative and they're not allowing you to do that, that could become very frustrating. Um, Especially because they're part-time workers and they're not even getting no money like that. Or they could be working full-time but they're making minimum wage. The old minimum wage used to be $7.50, right? So like stuff like that. But I think for a woman to expect a man to take care of her, or for a man to even, you still got people who believe in that shit, and that to me is like, it's controlling, because nobody could really afford that. They could flex like they can, but nobody could really afford to pay all the bills all the time. Like, you gonna struggle in something, you gonna be behind in something. There's no way that, even if you have a good career, it's just not financially, what I would call financially practical. It's just not. Like, eventually you're gonna give way. Eventually you're gonna, you need that help. You can't just, like a person like me, I'm able to function because I have one kid and I'm a single woman. I'm not taking care of no man. I don't have another child to feed. So I'm not broke all the time, right? Because it's just me and my son. But I can't imagine like a man that's in my shoes having to take care of a whole household, because it would be impossible. It would be impossible. So that's that. So for her to feel like that and say, oh, you need to be making six figures, is not a lot of money anymore. So for her to even say that, like, oh, you need to, and he responded to her, he's like, I make enough to take care of myself and my bills, or whatever. She's like, oh, well, you must be broke. But what type of woman are you to have that mentality? And then they was talking in tonight's conversation, which I brought up in the previous video, that when Kitty had responded, I'm mixing them up. No. So in that video, one of the videos, the girl was with the guy that was paying all her bills and cheating on him. He wasn't, which often happens. He was paying all the bills, but he wasn't being a partner. Like they wasn't hanging out. He wasn't showing her affection or whatever. So she was cheating on him with somebody that was, but he don't pay bills. So basically, she want her cake and eat it too. And even the lady on the panel was like, respectfully, you put yourself in that situation, because how is that even okay for you to put yourself in a position that you're dependent on somebody to take care of you? Because he could wake up one day and kick you out. Like, that's just how people are. Some people change their mind. Or something could just happen to his finances. He could lose his job. He could get laid off. Anything could happen. So for me, I could never put my life in somebody's hands. It's tempting if you live in the life of luxury. Like if I was to get, yeah, they was blasting music outside. But it has to be like a person that's like an athlete and I think I mentioned this in a previous video. There's no way I could get comfortable like in the hood and I'm just, I'm not working but he paying all the bills, whatever. Like, nah. We gotta be living like somewhere really nice. You gotta be making enough money where we living in a nice neighborhood. We're living in a house or a luxury apartment. Like, I'm not gonna settle to just live in a hood. That's just me. Like, for me to be a housewife and I'm happy about it, it gotta be like we living in Long Island. Even if we lived in Queens, I'm gonna pull my weight because Queens is average. Queens is not no luxurious, whatever. I'm gonna want to pull my weight, whatever. Like, there's no way that I could be comfortable living in a hood and I'm not making my own money. Like, as long as I live in a hood, I'm making my own money. Like, that's what I like. Good times, perfect example. Like, how was she able to? And I think back in those days, jobs was limited, so that's why so many women were housewives because they couldn't get jobs anyway. Like, a lot of jobs was discriminating. Legally, they could say you cannot work because you're a woman. So it was very hard to get a job in the 70s. The economy was bad and stuff like that. So yeah. But that was one scenario that I saw. Also, I wanted to warn people about stranger danger. There's a lot of people that people have met online, and I think I spoke about in a previous video the guy that I met on Facebook. He was the strangest person I ever met. He was going in on me because I failed a class. Mind you, I was a junior, and I was, it was, when did we meet? We met in 2021. So he was just going in. When I say he was going in, it just wasn't normal. He was like, "You failed the class," and da 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 da. And I'm like, "You're not paying my tuition, so I don't even know you. We just met. We hung out 2 times, and I'm telling you about school. And instead of you saying, 'Oh, okay, you'll do better next time,' that's all you supposed to say. You're not supposed to go in on a person, especially you ain't paying my tuition. I'm paying my motherfucking tuition. So for him to come out and say, oh, like he was going in, y'all, and I just let him talk, but he obviously needs medication. Like, he's not normal. And I read his book, and he was molested as a kid by the stepdad, abused by his mother. Like, he has all this trauma. So, and then in the book, it said that his mother was never satisfied. So, like, if he got all straight A's, she was like, "Oh, you're not being challenged enough." Then if he failed a class, it was on and popping. Like, she didn't play that. And that's bad because it's like, you supposed to tell a child. I always tell my son, do the best you can. I ain't never pressed him to be no A+ student because school is hard. It is. It's like anybody who say it's not, it's just, yeah, it's not for you. But school is hard. It's hard to sit there and study for something that don't make sense. You got most of these classes don't got nothing to do with the real world, and they want you to study it. They want you to be brainwashed by these theories and analogies and whatever. School is hard. So, I always tell my son, like, do your very best. The only time I ever like punished him for academic performance is like after his third grade year, he didn't do too well because I got tired of him being promotion in doubt. Every year he was promotion in doubt. And so after third grade, I said, if you promotion in doubt again, I'm not taking you nowhere for the summer. And I don't think I took him to like the library in the park, but I didn't do nothing extra. And his family took him places, but I was strict on that. Sure enough, the following school year, my son started doing really well in school. So I think once I put my foot down, also he ended up getting better teachers because the fourth grade teachers had said how the previous teachers he had, they wasn't that good, because it was the whole class struggling. And I was looking at his homework one day, and I was like, why y'all doing third grade shit? They was like, oh, Miss Vows, they didn't do well the previous year, so we're trying to get them up to part. I said, oh, that's what's up. That's what public school need to do. Like, it's a lot of kids behind. You got to bring them up to part. And if they didn't do that, he wouldn't be successful now. Like, that was the beginning of his success in school. Good teachers. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go back to what they don't know and bring them up to speed. And that's what they said. They said we have to bring them up to speed. And they did that, and he's been doing good ever since. You know, that's all she wrote with that. GPA 3.0 every, just about, every semester, so yeah, you know. But I wanted to talk about Stranger Danger. I went off a tangent about myself, but it was a story told. This guy, this was like a real like horror because he could have got kidnapped, but he was talking to a girl, but he never saw her face. Like, she always had an excuse, like, um which is weird to me because if you're not the one who kidnapped him, why are you afraid to show your face? But that was the first red flag. If you're video chatting someone, if you're talking to somebody on the internet and you never met them and they don't want to show their face, that's a red flag. He was talking to her for a month and she never wanted to show her face. He didn't think anything of it, and I think he was a little lonely and desperate. So she finally agrees to meet him, and it's not in the best area. It's like, it had rained, and parking lot was kind of desolate. So he decides to walk in, and I think he waited a while, and then something made him exit, and a guy was like, oh, you waiting for so and so? You waiting for the girl? And he was like, yeah, who are you? He's like, oh, I'm her uncle, and she got into a car accident. She's in a hospital. So instantly, him being a good person, he's like, which hospital? I got a car I could drive myself. This person tried to get him into a car, y'all. And thank God he used his common sense to not go in. Which is true because it's like, I have my own car. Why would I want to get into yours? A person who don't have a car, that would make more sense. Like, oh, come in with me, whatever, so you don't have to pay for cab. But he's like, no, let me know what hospital and I'll go myself. The uncle goes on to say, oh, they only allowing family only, and if you come with me, then it'll be better. He's like, nah, where is the hospital? He asked him again a third time. So then he has a delayed reaction. Like, he had to think about it or whatever. And he said it, he was like, as if he had to think about it. Like, so he took that and he was like, nah, I'm not coming with you. Like, I'm sorry that happened to her, but I'm not coming with you. Like, whatever. Or whatever. I wish her Godspeed. I hope she do well, but I'm not. And so the guy was upset, like visibly upset. And so he had a gut feeling that something wasn't right. And you have to trust that when you doing this online dating shit. You have to trust your gut because people are sick out here. And you never think about that happening to dudes. But it does happen to dudes. Dudes do get catfish. Dudes do get robbed off of these websites. It's just safer to just approach girls in a bar, whatever. And even then, you got to be careful. Like, most of the people I've dated was like through mutual friends or work or something like that. Not saying that a coworker can't harm you, because I seen a Fatal Attraction episode where the girl was killed by her coworker. That's scary because they supposed to do background checks and shit. But the sad part is she was 27 and the dude was like 17. He was a child. I don't know why she was messing with him. But it's like he was a kid, and that's what made it even worse. Like, whatever. But you gotta be vigilant. That guy was smart. He was like, why are you inviting me? His thing was, why do I have to go into your car and I have my own car? It doesn't make sense, because if we come in from the hospital, how am I going to get to my car? That's the way he was thinking. He didn't even think about, later on, he thought about, like, yeah, this dude is dangerous. But his first red flag was, why do I need to be in your car and I have my own car? You see, I have my own, you have to have a car out here. I have my own car. If I go in a car with you, that means that I'm leaving my car here, and I have to, when it's over, I have to come back here to get my car. I'm not going to leave my car here forever. Like, it's my car. I need my car. So it's kind of like, that was his first thing. Like, nah. What hospital is she in? What's the secret? Why I can't go home? And then he's like, well, what if I didn't want to go right now? Like, he was like, I'll go see her, but not right now. Like, but he was smart and he listened to his intuition. And when he got back home now, right, the profile was completely gone, like as if she never existed. So it's a good thing that he listened to his gut, because obviously that was a scam and he could have lost his life. So yeah, just be careful when you meeting people. If they don't want to show their face and you haven't met them, delete them, because this is obviously they hiding something. She always had an excuse. She always said, oh, my uncle is staying with me and he's sleeping, or my house is a mess. Like, she always had an excuse. Or she'd be like, oh, my hair is not done. Like, she would have all these excuses as to why she couldn't FaceTime. And I think FaceTiming is important before you meet the person, because people pictures is different from what they look like. And if you're a person where physical attraction is important, that's, you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to, and you got guys that they look like Boris Kojo in the picture, and then when you meet them, it's like they look like Steve Harvey in person. So it's like, be careful with that. I do not online date. That was the first and last person that I met online. I met him on Facebook. He was public speaker. He had a law degree. He had it going on. Like, he had a book out. I actually wanted to network with him, and stuff, but it didn't work out. He's very mean and nasty. He was going in on me because I failed the class. And I'm like, this guy is crazy. Like, that's not even a normal response. Like, when I say he was going in, he was going in. I wish I could record the tone of his, just everything he was saying. It was just, I just knew that when he was talking to me, it was a flashback he was having. Like, somebody had talked to him in that manner. And when I read his book, I'm like, it made sense. It made sense. I'm like, because when he was talking to me, I knew it came from, he was abused. Because only people that's abused, like, I have a supervisor, and me and my coworker, we both agree she was abused as a child. She always says, like, oh, she don't believe in spankings and stuff, but the worst type of abuse is verbal abuse. And you could tell she was abused as a child, verbally, mentally, and emotionally, because that's what she tries to do to me. And I be like, no, you're not gonna be like that. I'm not gonna allow it. And then with my coworker, he kind of just like, he lets her talk to him any kind of way. But people who are mean and nasty, they're not born that way. It's people treat them like that, and they don't have the emotional intelligence to get over it. Because even if I feel like even if you are verbally abused as a child, that's no past a certain age, I'm not accepting that. That's no excuse. You should know within yourself that, hey, I was raised wrong, my parents were wrong, but I'm not going to treat others like that. That's lack of emotional intelligence, and a lot of people like don't have it. So like, you know, yeah, like, it's crazy. But yeah, beware of stranger danger. To my men too. It's not just about females. But but yeah. Then there's so many other stories I heard that was funny. Like one story was the girl 15 minutes into the date, he asking her what does she do before bed. She was like, I like to read. He was like, he jerks off. She was like, what? And then he said something else that was sexual, and she was like, listen, this is not going well and you're being very rude and disrespectful. And it's true, because you have to teach men how you want to be treated, because some men have this notion, they'll look at you and assume that you're a certain type of female. Men are very judgmental. I don't care what nobody says. Like, you could be a virgin or not really sleep around, and for whatever reason, they'll think that you sleep around because of something you said, because of the way you look, because of from anything. And you have to set them straight to be like, no, watch your mouth. I'm not down with that, or I'm not, whatever. Because they will test you like a child, you know. So you have to teach a man how you want to be treated. So she let him know, like, yo, that's not cool. Then it was another girl saying that the guy kept calling her motherfucker. And I'm thinking, like, is he black? Sure enough, it was a black dude. Not saying all black men do that, but it's like, what? You calling somebody motherfucker? Then it was another date where the girl was like, he was like, it gets cold at night. Do you have a sweater? Because I'm not giving you my jacket. And it's like, what? Like, okay. She had a sweater. Then he proceeds and says something about her mustache. My question is, did she have a mustache? Yes, it's rude. But I feel like if I'm on a date and somebody has a body odor, for example, I'm going to say something about it. I am. Because I feel like as an adult, why do I have to put up with this? You're insulting me by having a body odor. You are. So, yes, I'm going to say something. At some point, I'm going to say something. Because most men, they want to kiss. They want to be all up on you. And I think I told y'all about that. This was like years ago. This had to be like, I feel like it had to be pre-pandemic. It had to be summertime. And this guy, he was doing construction in my neighborhood. I normally don't talk to guys from the street, but whatever. I got his number, whatever. So I invite him out, and he let me know. He was like, hey, I don't have any money, whatever. I said, that's fine. I'll pay for drinks. And then next time it'll be your turn. So I think I spoke about this. He gets there, and it's pouring rain, by the way. It's pouring rain, whatever. I forgot why I was in the city. I was in the city, and I was like, you know what? I kind of invited him like last minute, like, hey, I'm in the city. I'm at Hooters. I'll be waiting for you. So the guy outside was like, oh, you waiting for a guy? I said, yeah. He was like, you should never go on a date with a guy at Hooters. I said, why? Like, I guess him being a father, he was like, you got a father? I said, yeah. He was like, trust me, your father would agree with me. I said, I don't see what the big deal is. Like, they're not strippers. They're just dressed. They was dressed the same way I was. Like, whatever. It's summertime. I don't understand. But whatever, that was his opinion. He was like, you shouldn't be going to Hooters with no guy, but, as a date. Whatever. So we get inside. I pay for drinks. He has the nerve to say, oh, I'm hungry. I'm a little hungry. I feel like this. If and this is male or woman, if the person offers to pay for drinks, do not ask for food. I feel like that is just so greedy, inconsiderate, and you don't know. Like me, I had it, but what if I didn't have it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, whatever. Gave him food, whatever. I'm like, I was already turned off because it's like, I didn't say I was paying for food. I said I was paying for drinks. I did not say I was paying for food. But I went and paid for the food, whatever, to be nice. And I'm like, yo, he broke, like, whatever. He's originally said that when he get paid, he got me. So we walking around, and we get to 42nd and Bryant Park. Those of y'all from New York, you know, you know. We get to Bryant Park, and then he starts talking about his ex, how he had to pay for everything, and his new relationship or whatever. He doesn't want to do that. I said, okay. And he was like, yeah, for the next date, I'm not paying. I said, but I said, rightfully speaking, even if I was a dude, just as friends, I paid for Hooters just now, and I don't even know you. This is our first outing, and I'm paying. So why would you? I said, well, we don't have to hang. And I let him know to his face, we're not hanging out again because that's not fair. I said, I've been through that in a friendship. And when I dated someone, every time I hung out with them, I'm paying for everything. What the hell is that? And you have people that's like that, and you have to be careful because a lot of the compilations of worst dates, a lot of these men, they want to be taken care of just like a woman. They want to be taken, even worse than a woman. I don't need to be taken care of. But and even after my experience with my ex, he paid for dates in the beginning, and then he started getting lazy, and then I had to put my foot down. Like, I'm not paying for no more dates because you got three streams of income. Why I only have one? Why am I paying for dates? I said, moving forward, you want to go on a date with me? You paying. And he started paying again. Because I'm like, you giving money to this person. You got money for everybody else but me. You don't give me no money. And you not paying for dates either? No, I'm not tolerating that. And you have people that will use you if you allow them to. Straight up. So with this guy, I told you with the worst date ever, he he was like, well, I don't believe in paying. And I was like, well, we won't be hanging out again because there's no way that I'm gonna pay for you again. Like, I paid for you. I said, rightfully speaking, I was like, yo, even if I was a dude, one of your guy friends, I paid this time. Rightfully speaking, you should pay the next time. I don't. What's wrong with that? I'm like, whatever. Like, you know. Then he tried to kiss me, and I'm like, back up. I'm like, first of all, you didn't pay for nothing. So why would I be in the mood to kiss you? And then second of all, I told him straight up to his face, you have an odor. I don't know what you're going through. Then he starts to say, no, I don't. I said, why would I make that up? That's what got me angry. Because I'm not going to sit there and lie about somebody having an odor. So when he said that, I was like, yo, go like this, bro, and sniff yourself. He's like, oh, I don't smell nothing. I said, yo, that's wild crazy. I said, if I didn't know it was you, I would think it's one of these bums on a train. And I told him just like that. He's like, oh, you foul. I said, no, you're foul because it's not fair to me or anybody that you around that we have to smell that. And I don't understand that about people. Like, why would you come out your house smelling? I don't get that. I said, did you take a shower before you came here? He was like, no. I said, well, you have to shower. Like, I don't understand. You have to shower, and you have to be careful of the soaps you're using. Because I had my military ex, he used Old Spice, and it wasn't working out for him. I said, everybody has a different body chemistry, and whatever soap you're using is not working. Also, I would suggest taking more showers. Some of us don't have to take a bunch of showers, but like, obviously, if it's summertime, you have to take multiple showers. Why would you not take multiple showers? It's summertime. It's summertime. You have to bathe at least twice. Period. I don't understand what the issue is. So it was like, what? But yeah. And then one of the other dates on YouTube, the guy was saying how the girl was talking about prenups. And I think that's better than somebody being a gold digger. At least she's saying like, "Hey, I have my own money. I don't need yours." That's what that's saying. And he was just turned off because it's like he felt like you shouldn't be talking about prenups on a first date. I get that, but at least you know where she's coming from. You know she has her own money and she's not trying to take yours. So I think she's a keeper. Also, he was turned off because the hug that she gave him was like a colleague hug. It wasn't like a, but it's the first date. Like, you want her to be all up on you? Like, I don't get it, you know. Then this guy came on and was like, it's a turn off if you ask him. He was like, the girl was like asking him like what his favorite color was, what is his favorite food. He took that as offense. Like, oh, I'm an adult, I pay taxes. Why are you asking me what my favorite color is? She's trying to get to know you. And then another thing that I noticed with most of the women talking, a lot of men don't want to talk, and I feel like, and I wanted to briefly talk about that. Like, if somebody doesn't want to talk to you, it shows that they're not interested in you, right? So that's very important. And one thing about men, they're very different from women. Me personally, if I can't talk to you, I'm not gonna open my legs. Like, if you're a person who I can't have a civil conversation with you, it's just, it can't go down. If we're not getting along, whatever, having a 1 or 2 night stand is one thing. But if every time I'm calling you, you never pick up, you always have an issue, you can never talk, and it's text, 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 that shows lack of interest. Because 9 times out of 10, and I think I had spoken about this, but one guy that I messed with from 2009 to 16, and that was an ungodly soul tie. But and I was just messing with him when I was bored. We never spoke on the phone. And we never spoke on the phone because he wasn't interested in me. Right? So that's a clear indication when a guy he's not interested in you. He doesn't ask you anything about yourself, right? Those are all clear signs of lack of interest. There was another girl who I think, went to Dave and Buster's, and he was like, if you stop talking, then you could win the game. The competition was important to him, but he was trying to stop her from talking. Anybody who tells you you talk too much or anything, like my military ex said I talk too much. That was all I needed to hear. That sealed the coffin. Because how dare you say that? We're supposed to be together. We're supposed to be in a relationship. Then on top of that, I did all the calling and texting. And when I asked him what his problem was, he was like, oh, girls before, when I call them, they don't answer. And I'm like, they wasn't your girlfriend though. I'm your girlfriend. You should be calling. And even after that, he still didn't call and text us. I would call and text. We was in a relationship. I met his family, he met mine, but he would not call and text me. And that bothered me because I brought it to his attention and he still didn't change the behavior. So that tells me lack of interest. You just with me because you bored or whatever the case may be, but that's lack of interest. And then you telling me that I talk too much. So I said, well, we don't, I dumped him because I'm not going to be walking on eggshells in a relationship. If I want to talk, I want to talk. And you should be okay with that. Then the ex after him, for the most part, we did talk, but in the car, he would be rude. Like, he would raise the volume of the music, and I didn't take the hint. And then he started making little things like, because I had told him about my past, and he made a joke out of it. He's like, oh, yeah, because that person had told me they not a phone person. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not a phone person. I said, that's fine, and you'll get blocked. Like, I'm not going to tolerate that. Like, I tolerated that in my early 20s. But there's no way I would tolerate that now. Like, if you tell me you're not a phone person, you don't want to talk, you're blocked. And guess what? That's another thing I want us to talk about. Some people do not owe you do not owe explanation to. They know what they're doing. So in certain scenarios, I think it's best to just cut somebody off and you don't have to explain yourself. Just go ghost sometimes. Like there was a guy recently, he's a maintenance guy in my building. I don't talk or date to anybody that works in my building. I feel like that's just conflict of interest. It's weird. The person know where you live. I just won't do it. Now, I've given them my number because they kind of, not really intimidate you, but they kind of put you on a spot. So you like, dang. So I gave him my number. We had a great conversation. But one thing that stuck out to me, he was like, oh, I haven't smoked in a month. Now, all of us who know alcoholics and smokers, whenever somebody say that, they're lying. So that's all he needed to say for me to ghost him, because I'm not going to tolerate a smoker. Just like with some men, they not going to tolerate somebody with kids, or they have their little standard, or, men are very shallow. They have their standard, right? So I have mine too. I'm not going to be with no one. And then his teeth was very like yellow, and that comes from smoking most of the time. So I could just look at him and tell he smokes. His like lips was black or whatever. I'm not tolerating that. Like I'm not. So block, that's not who I want to. And then we was talking and I said some lyrics from a rap song, and he was like, you listen to rap music? And I'm like, huh? Like, I'm American, so it's a popular song. I don't like when people say that to me, because it's like, you don't even know me and you're just putting me in a box like I'm this corny person. I actually have fun, and I don't have to be a smoker drinker and be ratchet to have fun. I know how to have fun. So that just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, whatever. So, yeah, you could be talking to somebody, and I would suggest that talking to the person before you even go on a first date. That's important, to see where their headspace is, to see if, because some guys, they just want to talk to you to explore their sexual fantasies. They want to do threesomes. They want to do this and that, and you have to see where their head is at, because some of these men are sick in the head. Some of these men are just, they're not all there. They just want somebody to have sex with. So there was one girl that was talking about her date from hell, the same one that they went to Dave and Buster's, and he wanted a kiss and he didn't want her to talk. She's like, why would I kiss you? Like, you said that, like, I'm asking you questions and you're not answering it. You don't really want to talk. Like, why would I want to kiss you? And then he had a nerve to ask her to come over. She's like, I'm not coming over. He's like, oh, well, what's your rule? She's like, what rule? He's like, oh, you wait till a certain time to have sex. She's like, what? Like, who says that to somebody? Like, like, what the fuck? Like, and I feel like dudes who do that, they just don't give a fuck. They just don't care. Then it was another day from hell where the guy said that he had 3 baby mamas from 3 different women. But I think that's good, because at least he's being honest. I had that problem with somebody. The guy came over to clean and he tried to holler at me. And I'm like, you don't do that. That's a conflict of interest. Like, I'm your client. Why would you do that? Like, I was just so thrown off, and I blocked him too. He's like, oh, he had 3 kids by 3 different women. And I'm like, well, what makes you, and we was talking while I was in Disney World. This was 2 years ago. And I was like, if you have all this baggage and stuff going on, what makes you think that me with 1 child, I would want to deal with you? Like, I'm not a desperate woman. I've never been. So the fact that you think that that's okay is baffling to me. Like, you should be ashamed. Like, we all make mistakes, but I feel like at our age, 2 baby mamas is understandable, because the first one could have been a oops, and then the second one, the relationship just didn't work out. But 3 baby mamas, and then you're telling me you was only in a relationship with one of them? That's fucked up. And then you was living with her for years and never married her. That's fucked up too. And you met her at your mother's church. That, you know how embarrassing that is? Y'all met in church? You can't make that up. You just can't make that up, you know. But yeah, comment, like, and subscribe if you have any dates from hell. Those of you, the Island Girl, she has some good stories on her channel. Yeah. Also, 45 minutes I haven't talked about the story I wanted to talk about. So this is about a girls trip, and I wanted y'all to comment, like, and subscribe on this if you get this far in the video. So the girl, right? It's her birthday. She had like a truckload of people coming, 2 trucks full of people. So I'm assuming like 8 to 10 people who came to this birthday trip to Miami. So the girl, one of her friends didn't have a babysitter and she couldn't come. She refused to give her back her $650. The girl, birthday girl, she put in halves, like $6,000. And so the responsibility for the rest of the money was to the rest of her guests. So I felt bad for the girl with a kid, because not just because I have a kid and I know what that's like. Like, sometimes you just can't make it. Sometimes people cancel. Some people don't want to see you happy. They don't, like, I was thinking about that. I was like, you got some baby boomers that they don't go outside, and their opinion is once you have a child, you're not supposed to go outside, right? But in this particular case, the grandmother caught COVID. There's nothing you could do about that, right? So the grandmother caught COVID, so she couldn't watch her 4-month-old. That's another thing. As a friend, why would you invite her? Common sense. She has a 4-month-old. Why would you think it's okay to invite somebody who just had a baby? Because when I had my son, I wasn't really going outside like that. I wasn't. I had him 2 months away from my 20th birthday, and I didn't really start going out till I was 21 because he was a baby. So I felt like even when I wanted to go to AC, I had plans to bring my son with me. Like, you still attached to your baby. Like, yeah, I went to work and everything else and went to school or whatever, trade school specifically at that time. But that's your baby. Like, you're not going to want to be without your baby. Like, she didn't even consider that. She's like, oh, I don't have kids, and this is why you supposed to arrange your... And then I didn't like what she said. She kept saying, oh, you chose not to go. It's not that she didn't choose not to go. She didn't have a babysitter. How is she supposed to? She's like, oh, you tell me 2 days before. At least she told you. You know how many people is a no call, no show? All the time. They just don't show up to shit. You done put your money out there and they just don't show up. People do that a lot. So at least she told you beforehand, hey, I can't make it. I'm so sorry, whatever. You didn't even ask her, like, oh, how's your grandmother? I'm so sorry she has COVID. Like, how is she doing? That shows that you was never a friend, because you don't care about her grandmother or her child. How's the baby? That's one thing I never heard her say. Like, oh, I feel bad that her grandmother caught COVID, but she never said that in her story time. So I'm like, you dealing with a selfish bitch. Like, you are wealthy. You have enough money to cover $6,000, whatever. Give the girl her little $600 back. That's not her fault that she couldn't come. Like, and I feel like in friendships, when stuff like that happen, that's when you know people true colors, because she cannot control the fact that she do not have a babysitter. Shit happens. That's just like even with work. You're not a job, so why are you acting like that towards her? Like, you're so mean and you don't even understand. Like, she don't have a babysitter. It happens. It's life. So there's plenty of times when, for the most part, for me, I had a sitter when I wanted to go outside, for the most part. But there was times when I can't go, and most of that, during those times, I didn't want to go. Like, I miss them days. Like, use my son as an excuse sometime. But She obviously wanted to go because she paid. So it's not like you could say, oh, she just never wanted to go. She did not have a babysitter. And then she had a nerve to say, oh, you can't get nobody else to watch your child. No, nobody's watching your child. And it's, then 2 days before the trip for a whole week. Nobody is that nice. Nowhere. She can't even get her own mama to do it. The grandmother was supposed to watch the child. So for you to even utter those words out your mouth to say, "Oh, you could have got another babysitter," how you figure she could have got another babysitter? Not that last minute to watch somebody's child for a whole week. Are you stupid? No, it doesn't go like that. Like, and then if she's a working mom, she had to take time off from her job to be at your trip. So that's what I'm saying. Like, she's if she don't have PTOs, because not every, like, I have PTOs now, but I've had jobs where I didn't have PTO. So if somebody is taking off work to come to your trip, they're already losing money right there. Then you asking them for an additional 650. The least you could do is give them the 650. That's how I see it. Like, if you was a true friend, you would have gave her that 650, even though. And then it's like they went to court. The friend took her to court, and it was dismissed. But I feel like the judge should have asked for the text message of your money is not refundable. Where did it say that in the text message? That wasn't brought up. But I just feel like she is a light skinned chick with long black hair or whatever, and I just feel like that's very selfish to even say something like that. Like, oh, you could have got another babysitter. Like, do you know her personal life? First of all, no, you cannot, because most people, especially my father was very strict on that. Like, I could not ask him, even if I was just going to dinner, I could not ask my father last minute, hey, can you watch him while I go to dinner? His answer would be no. No, you didn't ask me a week ago. And that was his rule. Mind you, I was paying my father, right? I would give him $1,500 every year from my taxes. He didn't give a damn about that. His rule was, if you want to go out and you want me to watch him, you have to give me at least 1 week in advance. Mind you, he didn't have nothing going on, but his thing was, I don't really want to watch your son. I'll do it because I know you don't have nobody. But he had his strict rules. He wasn't watching him past midnight, unless if I was going on a trip or something like that. And I could not go to the club. That was his rule. So if I was going to a concert and I wanted to go to a bar after, he actually, and I remember every time he would blow up my phone. Not call once or twice. He would blow up my phone, ask me. I remember coming from BB King's and my friend saw the phone, and he was like, what time the concert end? I told him 11. Do you not know at 11:03, my father was like, where are you? I said, I'm calling an Uber now. He said, good. Like, my father did not play. And you have a lot of babysitters that's like that. Like, yo, you shouldn't be going outside in the first place, but I'll do it. Like, they act like that. Even though you paying them, they act like they're doing you a favor because they're very old school. So you don't know, the grandmother caught COVID. Maybe the grandmother feel like, okay, you just had a baby, I don't think you should be going to Miami. That could be a reason too. But regardless of the fact, it is not easy to get a babysitter. It's not, because people are judgmental. People feel like you are a mother, you're supposed to stay in the house. Most people feel that way, of all ages, especially older people. So for her to say that is like, that just pissed me off. You don't have no consideration for your friend. This is supposed to be your friend, right? And you find out how and that happened. A similar thing happened to me when, for my 25th birthday, my friend didn't get her tax return, so I ended up paying for the whole trip. She complained about everything I did. It was a stop flight. Of course I'm gonna get a stop flight. It's cheaper. The fuck? Like, my tax return was small back then because I was working at Yankee, so my tax return wasn't that much because it was a seasonal job, right? So this is like 2014. So She came on the trip. She had an attitude the whole trip. It wasn't that bad, but she was like, she came on a trip with $100 talking about some, oh, I didn't know that we had to take cabs everywhere. You don't have your car and I don't drive, so what? Mind you, this is a girl who travels. She's been traveling her whole life. For me, that was my first vacation when I turned 25. That was my first vacation, but I knew that you're supposed to bring spending money. I knew that you had to do certain things like how to pack and stuff. It was just common sense for me. She didn't pack properly. I remember she didn't have like a jacket or something like that. And I'm like, if we're going to Myrtle Beach, obviously it's going to be warmer than New York. She didn't have a jacket. She had a winter coat because we were coming from New York. We're both from New York. But she didn't have a jacket. Like, she didn't know how to. So the girl in the video was like, oh, she doesn't travel much. It don't matter. You can get somebody who travels all the time and they still don't know. Because that's what my former friend, like, she was like, oh, I didn't know we had to have all this money to take cabs and stuff. And I'm like, that should be common fucking sense. Like, and I said it to her, that's common sense. Like, I've never, at that point, that was my first trip, but I'm like, okay, obviously you need money for food. You need money for taxis. You need money for like, you know what I'm saying? Like, souvenirs, whatever you want. Like, how you gonna come on a trip with $100? Whatever. So I go on Facebook. This is like 2 weeks after we come home from the trip. And she gets herself a new car. So at that point, I'm like, you need to give me my money ASAP. She's like, oh, but you said I could pay you back anytime. I said, yeah, anytime you get your money. And I know if I didn't say nothing to her, I probably would have either never got my money or she would have dragged her feet. And that's, everybody was telling me, like, Crystal, you need to block her. And I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna like end a friendship off of a trip. But a lot of friendships end off of a trip because that's when you find out people's true colors, for real. And I don't like girl trips. After that situation with that girl who I thought was a friend, I will never do a girl's trip. I don't give a fuck. There's no way. It's a girl that she parties too much. She drinks too much. She invited me to 2 trips. I said no. There's no fucking way I'm traveling with an alcoholic. It's not going down. I don't care. Because all you want to do is fucking party. You're embarrassing here in Brooklyn, New York. You embarrass yourself and the people you're with. There's no way I'm going to go abroad with you and you'll be acting like that. I'm not allowing it. But yeah, comment, like, and subscribe if you've had a girls trip from hell or a date from hell. I know I said a lot because I have a lot of experience myself, so I shared some stories. But yeah, man, just be careful. I feel like, my humble opinion, you shouldn't travel with nobody that's not your family or not your man. I feel like with my experience, even though I'm not with my exes anymore, there was never no problem with the traveling. They understood you have to have money. They understood all of that. I didn't have to tell them to bring money. Money was never an issue with the men I dated or with my father, or my son is my son, so me paying for everything is expected. But when my son get a certain age, he gonna have to, and I told him, like, he had money to get Wendy's for himself. So I feel like he's 17 now. I feel like by the time he's 21, 22, and if he have a job, of course I'm going to expect him to contribute, because that's not fair. I'm paying for everything, whatever. But comment, like, and subscribe if you have a trip from hell, date from hell, whatever. Yeah.